All right, welcome back, guys. Welcome to our series, the four medical superstars who are quietly running the internet, or not so quietly, however you want to say it, or as we like to call it, the four medical providers. We cannot stop studying, and neither should you. We want to do a quick disclaimer before we launch into this. Now, we do not know these providers' sales. We don't know their back end. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. All we know is they stand out on social media in front of the scenes, right? And they're doing something worth studying and not copying, obviously, but studying. And before we get into all of this, make sure you're following us on Instagram and our YouTube channel so that you don't miss the next ones. And if you have someone in mind who deserves to be studied, please tag them in the comments so we can check them out. All right, let's get into it. And then at the end, I think we'll share our handles and everything.
We will, and then we have a spicy little question at the end. We're going to start doing this at the end. We're going to leave everyone with all of our listeners. We're going to leave them with one growth tip that they could utilize for the next month, actually forever. Okay, that's what we'll leave them with. Dun 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 dun. Go ahead, Carolyn. Who is your first superstar that deserves all
Okay.
the hype?
So excited. Okay, so I have to say I'm a little bit biased with this one. My first superstar is actually my client. And the only reason I have to be biased and I have to share her is because she has been the social media guru since the beginning of time. And I'm just going to share my screen here. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Okay. This is Amanda. So, like I said, I'm sort of biased with this one because she is my client. She has been with me for the last 5 years. She was actually the first provider that I ever worked with in the aesthetics nation. She was the one that made me realize how much I was like obsessed with aesthetics and wanted to be marketing it for my business. So she's actually been an injector, CRNP, for the last 10 years. But I have to give her a shout out. And even if she was not my client, I would say that I would be obsessed with her marketing because she is obsessed with her marketing and it shows. Okay. She lives and breathes social media and she always has. So let me just tell a little bit about like her story. Um, she's been on social media literally since like businesses began using social media for their marketing. She started on Facebook, and again, before so many people were even using social media, and she just used it really to like show her results, showcase her results, and like basically document what she was doing every single day. And she kind of was doing that before influencers were doing it, right? Like
Mm.
it was so natural to her, and it's so funny because she like showed, a lot of times she'll share pictures of like when she was little, and she'll always say like I was born to be like famous. And it's so funny because the pictures are like her and she's really like styled up, so you can tell like she always had this in mind that she was going to have a pretty big like influencer following. So once she got pretty big on Facebook, she moved on to Instagram, and that's really where like everything kind of blew up from there. And the best thing about her and her marketing is, number one, she's not afraid to try things and just go all in. And number two, she has so much fun with it, and like you can tell like she dances and she like brings so much life to it. And yes, of course, like she brings the authority piece, right? She's sharing before and after, she's showing client transformations, but she also is not afraid to like do fun things and do the trending things. And like I said, I am a little biased, but I do think even if she wasn't my client, I would be focused on her because the best thing about Amanda is she fully understands and always has understood the value of investing in social media, both organic and paid, and both time and money, right? She actually was like I said, she was the first client that I ever worked with. And at first, because she had been building everything organically, she was a little bit nervous about paid ads, but she knew that was going to be what like catapulted her to that next level and that next level of visibility. And that's really where she wanted to be. She wanted to consistently be visible with her clients and beyond. And while she injects currently in Scranton, PA, so like northeastern PA, she actually is now injecting in New York City as well. So she's scaling her business in different places. And like I said, she's just all about maximum visibility, and she's not afraid to get after it and invest both time and money because she's been able to grow this practice. Her last practice actually from 6 to 7 figures. And then she started a new practice last fall and grew that to 7 figures. And she's just like scaling to new heights. And I'm obsessed with her
Wow.
content. I'm obsessed with her. She's so fun. She's so funny. And she keeps it real on stories. Like she just walks you through what she's living through every day. And if you haven't followed her yet, you got to, because she is just a blast.
No, yes, actually, I have followed her. I do follow her. So kudos to you, Amanda. And there's nothing wrong with being biased. I mean, I love, so ever since you told me about her, I've obviously, I've been seeing her, following her videos, engage and interacting. So obviously, the more I see them. But yes, you hit the right on the head. She goes all in, and you can tell she has fun. You're obsessed with her because she's obsessed with what she does. I feel that 100%. And it shows. There was, I think I saw some sort of like video compilation that she posted the other day, and she was shooting champagne out the bottle. You can tell that she has a good time within her social presence, and that matters, because me as a potential client, if I see that, I'm like, yes, I want to go to her. Yes, like I know I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna get great results. And that's the perfect way to build trust. It's the perfect way to build trust. And so what would you say, just quick question, what would you say to the medical provider who sees, Amanda's content, and then they say, oh, that's just too much, I could never do anything like that?
I would say do what is like innate to you. Like I said, Amanda from a little girl knew that she was going to like have a following, knew that she liked to be on camera, right? She was like posing for the camera. But if that's not natural to you, then how can you be obsessed with something that's not natural to you, right? You have to
Mm.
do, and this actually kind of like will bleed into our tips at the end, like our tip at the end, but you have to do what feels right to you. And while maybe social media doesn't feel natural to you, you can find a way to market yourself on social media, especially if you're in this niche, the wellness, the aesthetic space. You have to find a way to make it your own. And I have seen so many different, not just providers, but just influencers who maybe aren't like Amanda and might think that's too much, and like documenting every second of their day is too much. But I've seen providers who are able to, share a little bit of themselves and connect with clients without, stepping too much out of their comfort zone. So I would say like do what's
Correct.
natural to you, and of course like hire somebody like you, Cheri, who knows what they're doing and who can kind of direct you.
That is, I will toot my own horn. That is definitely one of my superpowers. It's learning the client, figuring out, what are their superpowers? What are those little, quirkiness, all types of little traits that you have within you that we can actually use and publicize to help you attract more of your ideal clients. A lot of the times it really just takes getting it out of you. And it may not happen on the first visit. Usually by the second visit, when I go to my clients' offices, like the comfort wall is broken down all the way. So they're able to kind of be more of themselves. And like you said, do what feels appropriate to you. That feels appropriate to her. Like you said, she was a superstar from day one. Some people they're not that fortunate. All right. So let's go to mine. All right. And dun dun dun, Dr. Judith Joseph. She is a psychiatrist. She's not my client. I wish she was. Yes, we are. We are very much so manifesting. And she's actually a board certified psychiatrist, making mental health approachable and relatable. So I love watching her videos. She talks a lot about, high functioning depression, and she puts it out like her videos are very cringy. Okay, I'm just going to be honest, but I feel like that's okay. That's acceptable. It's okay for them to be cringy because she's getting the word across. She's keeping our attention. She is entertaining. So a lot of the time, she makes these little weird, quirky little videos, and she plays out, in all these skits and stuff. But people are watching. She gets our attention. Um, she's been recognized by let's see, the Congress, the White House. I think she was named, let's see, I took note. She was named top mental health voice in 2024. I know she's been on a very popular podcast that I listen to called The Breakfast Club. And again, like I say, her content is very binge worthy, but it's also very cringy. But I promise, she takes a sensitive topic such as depression or ADHD or narcissists in the household, and just things like that that exist that a lot of us don't like to talk about, but she makes those topics approachable, and she speaks, it's almost like she's speaking to us like, we're toddlers, but it's in a way that we can actually digest the information. And again, like I said, if I were I'm not really sure if she's actually practicing. If she is, I'm not sure how, because she is like all over the place. She's a busy bee. But even if she's actually practicing and I were to see her content, I would feel so comfortable with going to her, not only because she's an educated beauty queen, but just because she makes the whole process seem more down to earth, and like she really cares, and she gets it, because she speaks in such specific. She's very specific. It's not a lot of generic information. I mean, she's literally like, this is what narcissism looks like in your mom, or in your 30-year-old mom. Or she's very specific in her information. And again, like I say, I just love her because it's a true mix of expert, educator, and creator. And she is definitely someone that a lot of medical providers should be studying. And not only that, but she collaborates a lot. I mean, as you can see here, she was on the Mel Robbins podcast. I think was she on Oprah? I don't know if she was on Oprah. No, I definitely know she was on Mel Robbins podcast, because I heard that they were even like making TikToks and reels together. It was the funniest thing. She's on top of the trends. Obviously, the Cardi B's face right there, and we know that Cardi B is on trial. So she keeps up. She keeps up. Her content is very entertaining, super educational, but she delivers it in a way that we would love to watch it. I mean, look at her. She goes all in with her content. This lady has on a wig and everything. Like, she literally goes
That's
all in.
amazing. Another one that goes all in, and that's something like, I again, I don't want to like blow up our tips, because I know we were going to talk about this more, but to your point, people can sense your energy, even if it's through social media. So if you're not fully energized and jazzed about what it is that you're sharing, that's going to that's going to hinder your growth, right? So you have to find a way to go all in, even if it's not your innate like strength, right?
I talked to someone earlier, and I like how she described it. She said it's a Broadway show. Well, she was talking about it in terms of her office staff and how they should, act with clients on the phone, but it's still the same way online, on a digital platform. Like, it's a Broadway show. You have to show up and show out, and the energy, it definitely matters, because just like you said, if you don't feel it within, you can't expect for everybody on the other side of the screen to feel it.
That's so true. Hmm. This is good. We're giving you guys tons of value right now.
I know, right? I feel like this be a paid
I know.
episode?
We're like behind a paywall. No, it's too good. I no gatekeeping.
Never, never, never. Okay, your
Okay,
turn.
next one. I feel like this kind of goes without saying, and this is definitely not somebody who does things quietly, but along the same vein of Amanda, because they actually are friends, and I think she trained Amanda, but it's the injector bunny, of course. Um, yes, and Erica Berry. So I have to talk about her because there's a couple different reasons. Obviously, like just right out the gate, obviously she's extremely well known. We know that. Obviously, she does the trends and she does them very well, and they're funny and like entertaining, right? That edutainment piece. But when she is educating, you know that she knows her ish. Like, there is no doubt about it. And what I do actually love about her, and I know that like she actually does get like so much hate sometimes on social media from people like saying she's fake and all this. She is actually extremely real when it comes to like client results, what you can expect, what she's had done, what her team has had done, um, what you have to have done to achieve XYZ results. Because I know there's a lot of people on social media, sometimes injectors that will, I don't want to say lie, but they'll, for lack of a better term, gatekeep what they've had done to make it seem like, oh, it was just a little Botox, little filler. But she is very real, and like she will tell you everything that she's had done. She'll tell you everything her patients have had done. So like, just for an example, this is like the perfect example, right? The before and after everyone sees, but the actual truth. And so obviously like this is a beautiful transformation, but she like lists, right? She looks like she's like 20 years younger. And now she's like listing everything that.
Everything. And I love that. I love that. Not to cut you off, hold that thought, but this is something that I, instill in my clients. You have to give us more information about what happened, because people are just tired of seeing, oh, one syringe of filler, Restylane kiss this, snatch jawline. Like, be specific. I love this. Another way that I love how medical providers do before and afters, if when they put the before and after photo behind them, and then they have some sort of mic or whatever, and then they're talking about what they did. So I love that. That's a great way to stand out.
Absolutely. And I think it, like I said, it builds your authority, it builds the trust. And I know Bunny, well, obviously like she's injecting, she is, I actually don't think she's in her office like every day because she's so busy with like traveling and speaking engagements and things like that. And I think she has like a wait list of like a crazy long wait list. And she's got a team. Obviously she's at Moksha Aesthetics, so that's like her practice. But this is what I'm talking about, right? So she's telling you, she's basically like telling you the truth of like, takes a full 21 days for to kick it. And right, this is one that was pinned on her thing. Right. So she's real. So obviously she does like the edutainment stuff. She does meme style stuff. And that stuff is going to a certain extent, get you views, grow your account because you're entertaining people. But at the same time, right, she's sharing very real information. So like even about herself, she's talking about like what she had done, you know, she laughs at herself and says looking like an alien in 2016. And now she's like sharing, you know, where she's at now. So that's why I love her. Like I said, she has like a combination of the education stuff, the authority building, the connection, the trust, and she just keeps people talking about her, which is the thing you want.
Yeah, I can tell. I can definitely tell her content looks very entertaining and very up to date with the trends. I mean, when I know I have a selective eye, but when I'm scrolling on your feed, I don't want to just see before and afters. I need some entertainment. I need some pick me up. I need something to laugh. And you can always relate it back to skincare or injections or whatever. And you don't even always have to, because your audience may be full of busy moms. So maybe it could be something about busy moms and or things like that. So I think she is doing all the right things just from, an overview of her feed. I love when providers can keep things entertaining. I mean, it's the greatest asset that we can own right now is someone's attention and time.
So true.
So
I actually want to talk a little bit about that. So I just really quickly, I posted something the other day because there's this aesthetics Instagram account. This woman, she has a massive Instagram following, like 62,000 people, where she basically tells aesthetics professionals how to market their business, similar to like with social media marketing. But she said the other day, like in a post, and I actually stitched it and I like created a why I disagree with this take. But she was basically saying like doing educational content and doing client transformational content is what's going to get you bookings. Doing entertaining content is going to keep other injectors following you and watching, but people are going to think like your clients are going to think that you have too much time on your hands and that's going to prevent people from booking. And I was like, not like, no. I said you need a healthy mix of both. It was just so interesting. So I like had to stitch it. I commented on it and then I stitched it. But I was like, no, all of my clients right now who are scaling to seven figures have a healthy mix of both educational content, authority building content, client transformations, and entertaining content. Because, like you said, getting that visibility is critical.
It is. It's so critical. But that's actually good. I mean, I don't, but the fact that she even thinks like that, sometimes I wonder if people are saying things like that just to hype us up, get clicks, get comments, because yeah, because there's no way that she really thinks that. And if that's what she really thinks, maybe that's her experience, maybe from her experience. But I mean, you're also not, you're rarely, not saying that it can't happen, but you're really going to hear someone say, "Hey, I saw this funny reel, so now I want to come in here and book." Maybe they saw a funny reel followed by an educational reel, and then they went in and
It's
booked. So
all a piece of the puzzle, right? And that's the big thing, is like organic is a piece, paid ads is a piece, your website's a piece, your email list is a piece, and all of it makes one big marketing puzzle that works together to get you booked
yeah.
up.
Definitely work together. That's the thing. I see a lot of practices, they miss out on a lot of money because there's a mismatch messaging within. They have a sale going on in an email. They have a sale going on a different sale on social, they're running a different sale, in their ads. And the clients are confused because if everything is aligned right, that one client is going to see everything. So they're like, okay, well, what do I do? Too many sales. Is this the flea market or is this an aesthetic practice?
Oh my gosh, so true. Yeah, you literally couldn't have said it better. And what is it? Like, clarity is kind. Like, be direct, because if you're confusing people, they're not booking with you.
Absolutely not. Because they're confused and analysis paralysis, and they're going to go find somebody that has figured out how to simplify the process.
Yep, exactly.
Okie dokie. Let me share my screen. Uh-oh. I don't want to leave the studio. I want to share the screen. Okie
Don't leave.
dokie. Yes. Oh, did I just say okie dokie? Yes, I sure did. All right. Miss Tiffany Moon, or Dr. Tiffany Moon. I like to call her the dual identity queen, because literally one day she will be showing up in scrubs in the OR, and then the next day she'll be in her fashion high heels, strutting the scene, all glammed up, and I just love that about her. So she actually was on Real Housewives. I don't know why did I not look it up? I can't remember which. I think it was of Dallas. She was on the Real Housewives of Dallas. She talks about it on her podcast. She has a podcast with another.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned this
Yes,
last time, and
with
it
a
was, she said, like, it's very
uh-huh.
chill.
So she has a podcast called Scrubs and Stilettos with Dr. Nicole Martin. And they basically talk about a lot of things in the beauty industry and in the medical industry. And they just basically tie it together. I love their conversation. But Tiffany, I believe she is very camera confident. And again, it spills out to others, right? She's very confident in what she does. I don't believe she's out, she's trying to sell a product or anything like that. She is obviously building her personal brand. That is her main thing, building her personal brand. She's going out doing speaking engagements, interviewing on different podcasts, collaborating with different women. She's very uplifting in the woman empowerment space, if you will. And I just like how she openly talks about motherhood. She openly talks about medicine. And I just feel like she is very relatable, as opposed to your typical, doctor's account. You, I mean, it would take you a minute of scrolling on her feed to even really know that she is a doctor in the OR, until she pops up, in like scrubs and things like that. But she shares skincare advice. She, just shares how she balances being a mother, being an entrepreneur, being a tenacious entrepreneur, and then still trying to keep up in the medical office. I believe she talked about, I want to say in one of those episodes on her Scrubs and Stilettos, she talked about how, she had problems in the industry with, people just mean girls, people being mean to her as she was coming up. And, she shares her experience there, how she handled it. And I just think very highly of her. She shows up authentically. She's fun, obviously beautiful. I feel like everybody in this industry is probably going to be beautiful, right? And I think a lot of people again could learn from her because she doesn't just share the glory and the fun stuff. She talks about the struggles, the things that she's been through. She shares a lot of content, like what she would change in her 20s, things like that. And that's relatable because obviously who wouldn't want to hear something like that from, especially from a woman like her who is successful? She's a powerhouse. So honestly, it's like anything that she says, I'm like, hey, I'm all for it. And again, I think the very last thing that I love about her is that she is a community connector. She's clearly using her platforms to uplift women and also show other women in the medical space that this is possible. Hey, it's possible. I had a rough patch in the beginning, but now this is my life now. And I think a lot of young and up, like, I mean, me, I'm talking about young upcoming woman. I am a young and up and coming woman. I love listening to that type of, empowerment talk. And I love having it on my social media feed. So she is definitely someone that everybody should go follow. I just believe, again, she's authentic, she's real, unfiltered. She is building the hell out of her brand. And I just love this. I just love Dr. Tiffany Moon. And again, y'all, go listen to her podcast. It's great. They talk a lot. Like, I feel like if you are someone to watch our episodes here, y'all would love her podcast, Scrubs and Stilettos, with Dr. Nicole Martin. Yeah, Dr. Nicole Martin. So yeah, like I said, you definitely should. She is phenomenal, and you will fall in love with just her personality. And then her little girls are so cute. I remember she told this one story. I think about her twin, because she has twins, and I'm assuming moms who have twins deal with this all the time, but one of the little girls were invited to a birthday party, but then the other little girl wasn't. And then everybody was like,
Gosh.
did you let the other one go? And she was like, yes, I let her go. Why would I not let her go? And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I probably would have not let my other one go, because why
Yeah,
can't she
probably
go? Why
not.
can't her sister go? Like, what is that? But anyway.
Yeah, I would feel feeling the same way. I don't know how I would deal with that.
I
Honestly, that would be
know, right?
tricky.
That's like
Yeah.
twin trauma, stuff that we
Yeah.
don't think about, right? Because we just have one of each.
Yes, that's right. Oh gosh. Okay, well this was amazing. Okay, so you want to get into like tips
Yes, let's
for
share, and we will.
we shared so
We
much.
did. We gave y'all a lot of gems, but the more the merrier, right? So before we leave, we're both going to share a growth tip with you, and we'll do this at the end of each episode. So, what is your gem growth tip for the aesthetic practice owner that is just struggling?
So I guess it would depend on where they're struggling, right? Is it like you have to identify like what it is that you are resisting. So for me, just to like give an example, like for me, I feel like I've really been trying to show up more authentically and document more of like my day to day. And while I feel like I think it's the millennial in me. I actually saw a reel about this the other day, but I feel like millennials are kind of perfectionists when it comes to social media and feel like we have to have the lighting
Yeah.
right and everything's got to be perfect. And like, but Gen Z can like get on TikTok really raw and like be selfie videoing, walking down
Yeah.
the street. They don't care about who's watching and they're just talking. That is something that I think that holds a lot of business owners who want to grow on social media back. Is like you want everything to be perfect, but it doesn't actually have to be perfect. And TikTok is like the exact example of that, right? It's a perfect example of that. So figure out if that is something you're resisting. And if it is, then try to lean into doing things more authentically. And while it might feel uncomfortable, you're only going to get comfortable with it with experience, right? So like we have to do things that push ourselves out of our comfort zone. And like you said, if we're going to be up and coming, and we've got to make cringy content at first to like make it work,
Yeah.
right? So every single influencer that you see, every single one that we've just highlighted, I guarantee you when they started messy, they started cringy, they started awkwardly. Like just start and just lean into it and just accept that it's going to be cringy for a little while, and then you'll get better with time.
Yeah. Or you may get cringier with time. And hey, that might work too. Yes. I love that tip. That's a very great growth tip. So, my tip, while we all love social media and it is our highlight reels, it feeds our ego and we love it. My tip is to know your numbers beyond social media and vanity metrics. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to different aesthetic practice owners, med spa owners, dermatologists. It's not just one specialty, right? And, you know, they're more focused on likes, comments, followers versus our clients rebooking in a 6 week time frame or an appropriate time frame, or worrying about things, or they should worry about things like their booking to consultation rate. Just kind of flip your KPIs just a little bit, right? And I know a lot of that mindset comes from working with different marketing companies and social media companies, and they're not really being steered in the right direction, because different companies, they measure different metrics. And truth of the matter is, if the goal is to grow an empire and a practice that you can be in a position to sell one day, you need to be measuring more than just vanity metrics. And you also need to know your numbers, because what's measured can be improved. But if you're not measuring anything and you're not tracking anything, then what is your metric to success? You probably don't have one. So that would be my growth tip. Just know your numbers, be more involved in your numbers. Again, we love social media, but we have to remember that it's just 10% of the marketing funnel. Maybe more. It may be more than that. Maybe more than 10%.
It depends on the practice, right? Like maybe a lot of, if you have a bigger following, maybe you're pulling more people from social media. If you have a big referral network, maybe you're pulling people more from referrals. But to your point, yeah, the focus really needs to be heavy on how many new patients are you booking and how are you maintaining those patients. Because exactly, because aesthetics is a maintenance business, and if they're not rebooking with you and they're serious about investing in their look, their wellness, whatever, then that means they're booking with somebody else, and you have to dig deep and look at what did you do that might have maybe made them not rebook.
Absolutely. Well, this was great. You guys do not forget to follow us. I will leave Carolyn's information down in the description box below. Same with me, Cheri Cobb Creative. And don't forget, if you know any medical providers that deserve the hype, deserve the spotlight, tag them down below, leave their information so we can go study them.
Yes, thanks guys for joining us. This was amazing, and hopefully we'll see you next week, right?